This is Retirement Roadmap Radio with Mark Fricks from Master Plan Retirement Consultants. Listen in as we address your financial concerns and provide helpful solutions to put you on the path to achieving your retirement goals. And now, here is Retirement Roadmap Radio with your host, Mark Fricks.
Hello again, and welcome once more to another episode of Retirement Roadmap Radio with me, your host, Mark Fricks of Master Plan Retirement Consultants, and our co-host today, Mr. Tony Shore, and we have got a great show for you today. I know we always say it's going to be a really good show, but this is a great show. What it's going to be about is financial fallacies. And the subtitle is, Nope, That's Not Right. And so what we're going to be talking about, thank you, Tony. Tony's introduced himself. I think, hey, Tony, come on in now that you've interrupted me, okay?
Sure, no problem.
So, are you the guy that, what was the old comedy team where one of them only had a little bugle they tooted?
I don't remember that. Or we could be Penn and Teller.
That's true. It was, I don't, it was the guy that held the old it doesn't matter. Wore the big thick glasses, and he had the
Steve Allen?
No, before that. I mean, way
well,
before
that's you're old, I guess. I don't know.
Oh yeah, no, I saw reruns. I'm only 28
right.
for the 34th year.
Right.
So it's all good. Anyway, so really kind of a cool topic. We talked about it in our pregame warm up, right? And so what I see and hear a lot is. And mostly I hear it from people that, that are talking to me for the first or second time. And it's things like, well, I read you should take Social Security at this time, or I read this, or I saw that, or my friend told me this. And so I picked out the top 5 or 6 that I hear the most often, and we are going to correct those today. So I've got my red pen out, and we will be.
And your response every time you hear that is, "Nope, that's not right."
Nope, that's not right. Exactly right. I need to get me one of those little buzzers too. That would help a lot. So,
you need that.
Yeah. So, how have you been, Tony, by the way?
I've been great. I just love the subtitle of today's show. Nope, that's not right. Every time you say that, it's going to be the buzzer. So, the nope, that's wrong buzzer. So, I've been great, but really busy. It's just, I cannot believe it. I love this time of year, but I just don't have a chance to get outside because work and family and just too much going on right now. But I love it. I love being busy. It keeps me out of trouble. How about you, Mark? What have you been up to?
Yeah, this is busy for us as well. Summer kind of, people are on vacation and staff's on vacation. And we had a little bit of a water problem this year that, we had to do virtual work for about a month, and that slowed us down. And we don't teach too many workshops in summer, again, because people are out and about and traveling. But it starts picking up in September, so we're really hitting the road now and actually thinking about adding another advisor here in the coming months, or definitely sometime next year, just to keep pace with all the people that need help, Tony. I mean, and more and more people are realizing they need help. That's the interesting part. It used to be that, people would just kind of, they'd retire, they would turn on Social Security and sit back and hope for the best. And people are beginning to learn there's a whole lot more to it than that. And so that makes us pretty popular because I think we're on the cutting edge of true retirement planning, holistically and from a fiduciary standpoint.
The cusp, as you would say.
Yes, thank you. The cusp. Yeah. I like that word because I can spell it.
You're on the cusp of cutting edge retirement planning and income planning.
That does start with a K, right?
No.
Oh, no. I can't spell that either. Okay. Thankfully, I don't have to spell in my job.
Yeah, you're a numbers guy. That's good.
Well, I need a calculator for that, too. So, anyway, the first thing that came to my mind when I was thinking about this subject is Social Security. I mean, you can't, as we used to say, you can't swing a dead cat without hitting an article about when to take Social Security.
Oh, I just feel sorry for the cat now.
Well, he was already dead. I didn't kill him. He was already dead.
Good.
Yeah.
Whew.
So, don't call me Humane Society.
Yeah.
Okay. No cats were harmed in the recording of this session. So, and so you see the articles, and literally I see them all the time, don't take Social Security until age 70. Take Social Security immediately. think about taking. I mean, it's crazy, and they'll say wait till 70, which can be smart because you get the largest check guarantee for the rest of your life.
But it's not right for everybody.
That's right, because number one, how long is your life going to be? We have those discussions with clients. How long has your family lived? Your mom and dad, your uncles and aunts. What's your lifestyle like? Have you taken do you exercise, or do you drink a bottle of scotch a day? I mean, let's talk a little bit and find out where you're going, and the same thing with the spouse, and their habits and stuff. And we still don't know, but that's part of it. Is there's kind of a break-even point. If you wait from 62 to 70, you're going to get about 70% more in your check from Social Security. That's a lot of money, but the break-even point's between 78 and 81 years old. In other words, if you go 8 years without getting a check, you've given up, $300,000. So how long does it take you to make that up on a bigger check? And it's usually about 10 years, give or take. So a lot of discussions that we have to have about that. Other articles come out, and actually just as many articles as people say this. So many people come up to me and say, yeah, I've already turned on Social Security. I said, well, when did you turn it on? Oh, the minute I turned 62. And I'll just ask them why. And it's always, I was afraid Social Security would go away. And I would look at them, I'd say, okay, two things. Number one, if it goes away for everybody. If it's broke, it's broke, right? Number two is it's not going away. I mean, we've had 9 major changes in Social Security, major ones, since the late 30s when it first came into being. And so they're going to fix it. Now, they may wait till the day before, but they're going to fix it. They're already talking about maybe bumping the full retirement age to 70. They're talking about higher taxes on payroll. They're talking about changing the cost of living formula so that there's it doesn't keep up with inflation as much, which it doesn't keep up now. So it's not going away. It's the largest social program we have, and as much as we love giving more and more money away, and there are some good reasons to do that. I'm not saying we should not do that ever. But they're not going to get rid of the big one. And can you imagine the revolt in this in this country? We have 80 million baby boomers, and then we got however many more that are right behind them. It would not be a pretty picture. So that fallacy number one is not correct. Nope, that's not right. As we've been saying, it's all dependent on you, your situation. By the way, Tony, maybe you need the money. Maybe you retire at 62 or you're laid off, and you need the money. Well, that's one good reason to turn it on, right? If you need money, don't live in a cardboard box waiting for Social Security to age 70, right?
Right.
So that's another reason, maybe to turn it on earlier than later. Maybe it's a couple, and maybe the one with the higher benefit waits till 70, and the other one turns it on earlier, and that way whoever is the survivor gets that larger benefit that's now 70% larger. So a survivor benefit's another reason to perhaps wait at least on one of them. So that's part of our planning, part of our income planning. We look at all of that. And so, again, don't read a magazine article. All this stuff we're talking about today would be like me watching Dr. Oz, and he says something about, everybody should be on this kind of medicine. And I just go and buy some, right? I call my doctor and say, hey, Dr. Oz said I should be on this medicine. And my doctor looks at me and says, why? And I go, because Dr. Oz said so, right? So this blanket statements, these, they're trying to speak to as many people as possible, so that as many people as possible read their article or watch their show. So they're going to blanket this so that everybody will listen or watch, and they can sell ad space and commercial time and all that. So number one is when to take Social Security is a big one.
Well, yeah, and I know we've talked about that on past shows. When to file is key, and like you say, it's different for everyone, but it can make the difference. It can mean the difference in tens of thousands of dollars, right?
Absolutely. You multiply a couple waiting and getting another, between the two of them, $15,000 a year more. That's $150,000 over 10 years, $300,000 more over 20 years. Or more, so yeah, it's huge. It's huge. And you only get one chance, to get it right. You do have 1 year to change your mind. So if you turn it on and then talk to us 6 months later and we tell you different, you can go back and say, hey, I made a mistake. I want to turn it off. I'm going to pay you back the money you paid me, and then I'm going to wait a while.
Sure.
And you can do that, but only for a year. That's as far back as you can go.
Yeah, understood. And I think it's really critical that people do that. Now, before we go on, why don't you let our listeners know how they can get a hold of you, because I know you can run that Social Security maximization report for them to show exactly when the best time for them, based on their personal information, would be to file.
Right. That's actually one of the complimentary reports we're offering this week, along with about 7 other reports that will really give them a perfect picture of where they are and where they need to be.
That's awesome.
And what can trip them up. Yeah, they're great reports. Really eye-opening. The Social Security report is one. I tell you, the other really popular one, and then the most depressing one, is the tax report. But, you either face it and we fix it, or you ignore it and you pay the price later. So, yeah, that's our offer this week. So the best way to schedule that is a couple of ways. Number one, the good old-fashioned phone. We still use phones. We actually have landlines here in the office. 770-980-9262 is the number. Another great way is the website, masterplanretire.com, masterplanretire.com, all one word. And you can find out more about us. But right there on the front screen is a little button that says Schedule Now. You push that little green button and my calendar pops up, and you can pick a time where we can chat for 30 minutes and figure out what it is that you're concerned about, what should be concerning you, and then if you want the reports, we'll run those for you as well. And then I guess the final way is really a cool way we've come up with. You can go to your little smartphone and text the word master plan to the number 21,000, and our contact information will come up. You can do anything you need to do from that page that pops up, the link that pops up. So take advantage of that, and they'll also get a copy of my my book, The Road Less Traveled, and I will even sign it for them if that's something they would like, or if they want it to be worth more, I won't. Either way.
Well, that's huge, obviously, and I think this is great, though, that you're offering this to our listeners. Now, what's the next thing you wanted to talk about? I know that you said you had a few things that you hear that you go, nope, that's not going to work.
Yep. Yeah, the next one is, I hear this a lot, and it's what they call the 4% rule. And what the 4% rule, but actually I'll tell you where it came from. Morningstar did a huge research study back in 1993, and they ran all these scenarios based on the historical stock market of 80 years, and what they came up with was if you had a stock market portfolio, you could take out 4% a year, and you had a 95% chance of not running out of money. Okay, which I prefer 100%, but that's not bad. That's not bad, right? Well, they redid the study in 2013, and if you think about it, you can understand why. Because in 2001, 2002, 2003, we had a major tech bubble burst, which really hit the stock market, and then again we had the Great Recession in 08, 09, 2010. And so we've had some major volatility over the last 20 years. So they said, we need to redo this study. Tony, the new study says 2.8%. Okay? And so that's almost half the amount of income you can take from the stock market to be mostly assured you won't run out of money. So because of that, we've quit using the stock market as much for income. Now we're using some other tools to provide income, and they're actually more efficient. 2.8% from the stock market. These other tools we're using are providing 5 to 6% income, and it's guaranteed. Wow. So we have really changed the way we do business from that standpoint. So I still see articles talking about the 4% rule. I see some that talk about the 5% rule. I don't know where they're coming up with all this. I trust Morningstar. Morningstar does not, they don't get paid for advertising. They don't take money from companies. They just did the research, and that's what they came up with. So be careful. That 4% rule is out the door. So don't listen to that. In other words, nope, that's not right.
Well, yeah, and that's nope, that's not right. I love it. I'm giving the buzzer a rest, though. I think our listeners have probably heard that.
You forgot to put new batteries in. Right?
So so that's another scenario. What's another thing that you hear all the time that just isn't right?
It's still the old rule of of bonds versus stocks based on your age. Okay, and so it basically says, hey, if you're 60 years old, you should have 40% in bond stocks and 60% in bonds. If you're 70, you should be 30-70. If you're that has nothing to do with anything. It really has nothing to do with anything. It's just another way to sell a magazine or a newsletter or whatever, because your situation is different from everybody else. Are you going to live longer? Are you living in a place where you need better growth, or do you have a better risk tolerance? Maybe you don't have a risk tolerance, right? Are you dependent on that money to live on? Do you not have a pension? Is your Social Security low? Do you not have that other tool we talked about that provides, guaranteed income? What's going on in your life? And so, yeah, if you want to just take the lazy way, do that. But that's has nothing to do with each individual. By looking at this little formula of, hey, you're this age, you should have this much in bonds. And by the way, I've not used too many bonds in several years, because they've not, on average, produced anything in the last 15 to 20 years. They've just have not yielded anything. I mean, I can't produce income with bond portfolios that are producing 2 to 4%. And 4% is on the outside edge. So, that may change. Fed starts bumping rates up. It's funny. I said the other day, one of my classes, Tony, I said something about, how people, they long for the days of the 12% CD. What they forget is that mortgage rates were 15. And so it's all, it all interreacts. You can't expect the CDs to pay 12 and then get a mortgage for 3. It doesn't work that way. So it's all relative. But that's another big one, is age-based, allocations. Is just, I just got to say, nope, that's not right.
Yeah. Yeah, it isn't right. And so that's another area I see people that's a huge mistake, and something that people get wrong and confused about. So I'm glad you're clarifying these things, and that's huge, obviously. So once again, let's let our listeners know how they can get a hold of you to get a plan in place to make sure they're not making some of these mistakes. It's one thing to make a mistake, but it's another thing to make mistakes that could drastically affect your retirement or reduce your savings or affect your income, right?
Well, it's going to alter the last third of your life. You have a married couple, one of them is probably going to spend 30 years in retirement. And so, that's huge. You can't make mistakes. That's like, screwing up the first week of your marriage. It's going to affect the rest of your marriage probably, right? And so anything you make going into retirement, most decisions can't be changed, or if you can change them, it's going to cost you a lot of money to change it. So make the right decisions going in. Don't think that your investment advisor or broker that's been working with you for 20 years over at WW Bank or whatever it might be is going to be able to tell you when to take Social Security, or how to do an income plan or legacy planning or Medicare planning. They're going to look at you and say, either they're going to say, we don't do that, or they're going to make up something. And when I say make up something, they may Google something, but you really want the right answers on all of these questions. And that's, again, why we're so busy. That's why, life's good and things are rocking and rolling.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's really good. And I think that having a plan in place so you don't have to worry about mistakes that are going to cost you, or that could cost you, a happy, long retirement, is so critical. So what's next? What's another situation where you've just had to say nope?
Well, I think the next most popular one is I've always been told, Mark, that I'll be in a lower tax bracket when I retire, so I'm really not worried about taxes.
Oh.
Yeah, that's not the new world. The new world is, number one.
That's not right.
Thank you.
That's not right. See, I snuck it in.
Yeah. Did I tell a bad joke? Oh, okay. So that's hard to believe, right?
Right. Oh, yeah. Well, no.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, that when you tell a bad joke, that's what you're going to hear.
Okay, all right. Well, I've never heard it before, so I guess I've never told a bad joke. That's good to hear.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So, the lower tax bracket fallacy is interesting because it's what I was taught when I first got into the financial services world is, hey, let's put all of our money pre-tax. Let's only put our money in 401ks and IRAs because when you retire, even though it comes out taxable, your rate's going to be a lot lower, your income's going to be lower, all that kind of good stuff, and so it's not going to hurt you. Well, we're seeing that that's different. Here we are, 80 million baby boomers retiring, and guess what's happening in our government? They're looking at ways to raise taxes, many different ways to raise taxes. And I know that, I was talking to somebody the other day and said, well, they're only going to target people over 400,000. Right. Yeah, if you believe that, I've got some land I can sell you. They're going to affect a lot of people. I mean, one thing they're going to do is they're going to raise taxes on FICA for Social Security. That affects every working American, in the country. And so don't believe that stuff. And even if they target 400,000 at first, they're going to eat further into it. So think about this. Let's say you've been blessed. You've got $1 million IRA by the time you reach 72. All right. Well, 72, you have to start taking money out. That first year, you got to take out $40,000. And if your spouse has an IRA, they got to do the same thing. Well, $40,000 on top of your Social Security, maybe your pension or whatever else, now you're getting close to $100,000, right? Well, 10 years from then, you're going to be taking out close to $90,000 plus everything else. So even if your tax bracket's the same, you're forced to take money out. I personally believe your tax bracket is going to be higher in the next 10 years. So not only will you be paying more because of a higher tax bracket, but just like I said, that IRA money that's growing and that you have to take out is going to push you even higher. So that is a fallacy. So I just have to look at that person and say, nope, that's not right.
Right. Yeah, that's a tough one. And so, wow. Yeah, yet another one where I think people need to understand that not everything that they hear out there, oh, my buddy at work told me this, or my neighbor says this. It's not gonna. That doesn't cut the mustard. And the old rules of thumb. I mean, things have changed over the years as far as income planning, investment, the markets, the economy, and especially things like Social Security, Medicare, healthcare costs, taxes. It changes so rapidly now, more and more and more. It used to be for years and years it was always the same. You had a little bit of Social Security, you had your pension, the gold watch, and you retired.
And your house was probably paid for, and bank accounts were paying 6%.
Yep.
And I call that my granddaddy's retirement.
Yeah.
And then he lived 5 years, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then the quality of life, especially for men, you'd be retired if you had a good 5 years, you'd be doing great. But that is just not the case anymore. So people are living. That's a good point. People are living longer. So do you have another one for us?
You got time for one more?
Yep.
So this is a little bit different view, and that's that I keep hearing people say, well, probate is no big deal. So as you know, Tony, we do legacy planning.
Sure.
We do all the planning leading up to creating trust or wills and powers of attorney because there's more to it than just creating a document. And so I have people come to me and say, well, my attorney told me that probate's no big deal in my state. Now, I'm in Georgia. And Georgia probate isn't as bad as Florida probate, okay? So I admit that. It's not a big deal, but it's still a deal. And so if you have any size of a state and you need an attorney, they're going to charge you 2 to 5% of your estate. So if you've got, $1 million estate, which is not that much when you consider IRAs, you consider your home, maybe life insurance that paid off when you died, all this kind of stuff, then probate can get kind of big. But the other problem is people don't realize this. If you have a will, which goes through probate, number one, is the will is not a set of instructions to the executor. It's a set of instructions to the probate court. And so the probate judge is the one that interprets what the will says or how to make it flow smoothly. So they can interpret how they want to. And as one of my favorite attorneys tells me, he says, the law is not what the law says it is. The law is what the judge says the law says it is. Okay? So you're subject to that. You're also subject to publicity. Your will is filed at the courthouse. It's advertised, in the newspaper. They actually, in many counties and states, will actually send a letter to every relative saying, hey, by the way, Mark has passed away. Come get it. Now, that's not really what it says exactly, but it's kind of saying that. So we like to avoid probate. So we do that by using trust a lot and our beneficiary designations, which avoid probate as well if it's done correctly. So probate being no big deal, nope, that's not necessarily right.
Right. I think that's a good one. Well, we're out of time. It just flew by. Yeah. Is there anything else you want to add before we go?
Well, again, we've got the reports complimentary. We would love to run for you. They're really eye-opening. So how do you get those? Well, you have a 30-minute chat with me, complimentary, and the way you schedule that is masterplanretire.com. Our website has a button that says Schedule Now. You can call us at 770-980-9262, or you can text the word master plan, all one word, to the number 21,000. Three great ways to reach us, and love to chat with you. I love to chat with our listeners and find out what's going on in their lives and their dreams and goals for retirement.
All right. Thanks, Mark. And listeners, that does it for today's episode of Retirement Roadmap Radio with our host, Mark Fricks.
And we are so glad you joined us. We hope to see you same place, same time next week. By the way, you have about 75 of our podcasts of this show in your pocket now if you have a smartphone, so you can listen anytime you'd like. Otherwise, until we see each other again, plan well and prosper. Take care, everybody.